I'm currently in the process of finishing up the What We Know So Far video for Cyberpunk 2077, in which I'll essentially compile all of the information and news from 2012 all the way to May 2017. But in the meantime, I wanted to make some predictions on what we can expect at E3 2017, which is looming on the horizon. In case you've lost count, CD Projekt RED's highly anticipated new title has been in development since as far back as 2012. That is 5 years already. Considering how much time has passed since the game's announcement, surely they'll have something major to show about the game at E3 2017, right? Well, I am going to be blunt with you so you won't be disappointed when the time comes. My prediction is that there will be no major showcase of Cyberpunk 2077 at E3 2017. There are numerous reasons for why I believe this, but the biggest one is the fact that CD Projekt RED has already said as much during their 2016 financial results conference, which took place on March 2017.
And the biggest team is working on Cyberpunk. It's several hundred people, and it's really good fun for us still. The project is very ambitious, and you are able to see in the presentation how each game is more successful than the previous one. So the ambitions are very voracious. So we would like to devote a lot of attention to cyber, a lot of efforts, and quite some time. So we still need some time for the game to be ready, before the game is ready. It's a new title for us, and it will accompany us for years, so it takes efforts to prepare it properly. The work is ongoing, and it's very intense. So it's not a comfortable situation because we know what it's like. We watch the game, but we can't tell you anything. But this year will belong to Gwent. This year we will be communicating Gwent.
There it is, plain and simple. 2017 will be dedicated to Gwent, while the core CD Projekt RED team works to ensure that Cyberpunk 2077 is in a playable state before they show it off. Something else to keep in mind is that during Witcher 3's long development, there came a point in which a lot of the staff from Cyberpunk 2077 had to be shifted towards the development of Witcher 3. Witcher 3 being a game that got delayed twice because of all the effort that they put into perfecting this game. So there was a good chunk of time in which Cyberpunk 2077's development was not at a standstill per se, but was definitely going a lot slower because they were so focused on completing Witcher 3 and finally getting this game out. And then after Witcher 3 came out, a good portion of CD Projekt RED still worked on the expansions like Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine, with the latter finally coming out in May 2016. It's only once they were fully done with the world of Witcher 3 that Cyberpunk 2077 kicked into full development. In other words, the team has only been solely focused on Cyberpunk 2077 since mid-2016, so it's only been a year since they really cranked up Cyberpunk 2077's development. Something else to consider is that development for their new game shifted from Red Engine 3, which Witcher 3 was developed on, to Red Engine 4. First time we got confirmation of this was 2 months ago on March 2017, when CD Projekt RED got a grant from the Polish government for a variety of projects regarding their new game. The proposal forms for the grant that CD Projekt RED submitted were made public on that month, and that's when we finally learned of the existence of the engine's next iteration. As for when development for the engine started, we were told as far back as April 2016 that the studio was taking what they learned from Witcher 3's development to update their software quite drastically. So throughout the past couple of years, they haven't just been developing Cyberpunk 2077 this entire time. They were busy working on Witcher 3 and its expansions, they were busy upgrading the engine, and it's only recently that Cyberpunk 2077's development kicked into full gear. I should also mention that those grants that CD Projekt asked for to fund 4 projects involved in making Cyberpunk 2077 labeled as seamless multiplayer, cinematic feel, animation excellence, and city creation, are listed to be finished by 2019. And if I'll be honest with you, even that seems optimistic. I think 2020 might be closer to when we can expect Cyberpunk 2077 to launch. And that would actually be pretty poetic, considering that the original tabletop is called Cyberpunk 2020 and takes place in 2020. And as far as the deadline for the grants are concerned, they can always file to extend that deadline anyway. Now, even if the game really is coming out sometime in 2019, E3 2017 seems a little too early to really show off this game. The hype might die down over the course of 2 years, so I think it's smart if they wait until 2018 before they really go all out with Cyberpunk 2077's marketing campaign. With all that in mind, I don't think that this game is at a point in which CD Projekt RED is ready to show off confidently, at least not by E3 2017. If you want further proof, I took the time to check if CD Projekt RED was listed as a E3 2017 exhibitor, but oddly enough, they were nowhere to be found on the list. Now, before you argue that individual game developers like Naughty Dog don't usually get listed in these lists, keep in mind that CD Projekt RED is both a game development studio and a publisher. They aren't a subsidiary of any one company, they are their own entity. So by all means, they should be listed as an exhibitor if they had any plans to show off anything major at E3 2017. To prove my point, I should point out that CD Projekt RED was listed in E3 2016's list of exhibitors, and during the event, they unveiled the standalone Gwent card game. So the fact that they're not listed as an E3 2017 exhibitor could mean that their presence at the event will be very small or even non-existent. I wouldn't rule out the possibility that some of the CD Projekt RED developers will attend the event and maybe they'll participate in some interviews and be asked about Cyberpunk 2017, but at that point, the only kinds of replies I would expect are reassurances. Things like, we are working hard on this game, our team has grown to hundreds of people, and this game's gonna be great, and etc. But I don't think they're ready to announce anything substantial quite yet. However, I do expect 2018 to be a big year for Cyberpunk 2077. I think we're gonna see the game in playable form by then. For 2017 though, it makes sense that they're gonna focus on Gwent because shifting even a bit of that spotlight to Cyberpunk 2077 would only hinder Gwent's marketing campaign. So to sum everything up, my educated prediction is that there will be no Cyberpunk 2077 presence at E3 2017. It'll have a huge presence throughout 2018, and the game will finally launch sometime in 2019 or maybe even 2020. Do you agree or disagree with my predictions? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you're looking forward to my extensive Cyberpunk 2077 coverage throughout the coming months and years, I hope you'll consider supporting me on Patreon so that we can sustain this channel without the need of third-party sponsorship or corporate interference. And to be further updated on all things Cyberpunk 2077, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.